All right, so we're here today with Matt Yegge at Altius Fitness. Did I say that right?
Altius Performance.
Altius Performance, okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about who you are, tell me about Altius, tell me about your mission.
Yeah, so my name's Matt Yegge. I own Altius Performance. I am a doctor of physical therapy and sports performance specialist, certified strength and conditioning specialist, corrective exercise, performance enhancement. Basically, what we want to do here is just help people to perform at a high level.
Okay, right on. And what sets Altius apart from any competition?
I think having physical therapy combined with sports performance is a big deal. There is this cycle. You are trying to prevent injuries. I don't really like that word because you can't prevent all injuries. You can certainly build resilience. But then you go into performance and then sometimes things happen. We get hurt, but it's not a circle. It's really this web that is interconnected of sometimes it's prehab, sometimes it is performance, sometimes it's rehab, and then a lot of times it's bits and pieces from everything.
Right on. So is there any kind of specific techniques that you use, anything that's advanced or like newer techniques that you're utilizing?
As far as newer techniques, as far as physical therapy goes, not a ton of modalities. And just think that our goal here is to really teach a man how to fish versus give a man a fish, where a lot of those modalities are kind of come in, it's passive treatment. We want to teach people that this is the medicine and look for what they're capable of doing and then build off of that. I think the normal rehab mindset is really on what I can't do. I am limited, and we want to look at what you can do. And then we can build off of that. Certainly staying within protocols and constraints and avoiding pain as much as we can to just build resiliency in our athletes and in all of our clients.
Absolutely. And I've been to physical therapy before, and some of the times that I've been in physical therapy for myself, I'm witnessing some of these other patients that are there that are going through the treatment protocol. And it seems like the treatment protocol is not actually established to the point where they're going to get better. It seems like at best it's looking for like maybe a little bit of functionality in life, but not actually the restoration of where they were before. So is that something that you've seen in traditional physical therapy?
Yes, settings? On a whole, I think that there are great physical therapists, there are great protocols, there are great programs out there, but I think on the whole, we're not looking at the whole individual. We're looking at a protocol of this is what works for 99% of the people, but that might not be that 1%. There's someone like you who's an absolute beast, and we certainly want to live within our protocols of what's going to be safe, but I'm not going to treat you like an elderly patient who maybe has a similar injury because you want to get after it, you want to do things. We need to be safe in how we do it, but we need to create buy-in, and I think that's where a lot of therapy and traditional modality and traditional therapy can go a little bit wrong, is that it's this one size fits all, and it's not necessarily. Now, our danger zones might be a one size fits all, but your capability might be different in some of those.
Yeah. Even recently I had this experience with the VA and going through their physical therapy program where they literally started me out with 3 exercises to do, and then I'm like, this is just ridiculous because I'm a personal trainer as well, and I'm like, this isn't going to work for my lifestyle at this point because, you know, I'm more active than this, even despite being injured, outside of that treatment environment, that arena that I'm in. So having said that, like what kind of therapy, what kind of intervention would you use for somebody like me who's had multiple injuries, multiple issues going on, you know, things, shoulder reconstructions, bicep tendon tears, you name it. So like what would that look like as far as working with you?
I mean, we'd look at what we have going on for sure. We'd look at those injuries, but we want to create buy-in. I have to hook you, man. Like, and I think one of the big issues is you don't know the why behind what I'm asking you to do. Mm-hmm. And there's such value if I can tell you why. It's like, dude, this is just a stepping stone. I know this is not fun. It seems redundant. It seems mundane. What's really interesting is even within our performance sector, it's like the mundane that is actually the moneymaker. But the kids, the athletes have to know why. Our patients in physical therapy have to know the why. They also need to understand that what we do matters, but how we do it matters more. And that this is just a stepping stone to what's coming next. This might not be Instagram worthy. This might not be what you're excited about. But if we can master this and we can gain strength in this area, then we can build on it and we can start doing cooler and cooler and cooler things, but we have to have a foundation, and that's biblical. You can't build your house on sand. You have to build it on a foundation, and my wife's a builder. She owns a beautiful new home construction company here in Stillwater, and the foundation is not the fun part. It takes a long, long time, but as soon as a great foundation is built, framing goes up really quickly. Then our exterior goes up really quickly with the plywood. Then the framing, the walls and the electrical, the plumbing, the HVAC all goes in really quickly. Drywall goes in and it looks like a house. That's all quick. The foundation takes a long time, but that foundation, if it is not strong, you can't build something that's going to last. And so I think just teaching someone like you, like why we're doing it, is going to be extremely valuable. On the flip side, we are cash pay, which is really nice in the sense that insurance, if you came in because your right shoulder hurt, if you came in with a shoulder injury, I can only really look at that shoulder. Yeah. But what about the rest of John? Mm-hmm. So being cash pay, we're going to focus really hard on that right shoulder, but there's a lot of John left. That if we can start working on the rest of you and getting all of that strong too, you start moving your mindset from I am limited, I can't, to start seeing what I can. And yeah, this thing is a little bit slow maybe. We're waiting on this a little bit, but I'm getting stronger in every other way. And there's really cool research on your mindset. And if you feel like you are progressing, even if though the world says maybe you're a little bit limited in that shoulder, you can progress in so many areas. And the research shows that your right shoulder will heal faster, typically when your mindset's in that place of positivity.
That's so good. And so what I'm hearing is there's a lot of educational component, a lot of buy-in, and not just that, but we're also looking at the total body as opposed to just that one injury that's necessarily, or maybe specifically bringing you in. So with that rest of the body, that totality, like holistic approach, it's going to actually increase not just the education component, not just the buy-in, but the physical person overall.
And it will actually, for some reason, increase your healing time in your injury area.
So you made a biblical reference as far as scripture-wise, as far as building on, not building on sand essentially, and building that foundation and building firm. So now I happen to know that you're a Christian, you have Christian beliefs. And what is the mission of Altius combined with how does faith come into that and play in?
Yeah, well, Altius in essence means higher. The Olympic motto is Cedius, Altius, Fortius, which means faster, higher, stronger. We chose higher because we want to point up in all that we do, and up being to Jesus. That doesn't necessarily mean that I have to preach the gospel to all the world with words all the time, but it's really how I love and speak life into people, how we love and speak life into people, just our culture. I love the quote by St. Francis of Assisi, preach the gospel to all the world, and if necessary, use words. One of my favorite quotes. I do get a little bit bolder in how I use words as people start to earn, or as I start to earn their trust, and I earn that rapport. I get a little bit louder, but my words mean nothing unless they know that I love them and that my heart is in it with them and that we are a team and your success is my success. And then they'll be willing to start to hear the other words from me as far as, hey, this is why I'm a little bit different. This is why I love you, man, because Jesus loves me. So in essence, Altius means higher because we want to point up in all that we do, and that's how we want to live in this space. That is the culture we want to create and have been blessed to create thus far.
That's absolutely awesome. And is there any specific scripture that guides your mission here at Altius? Or?
I mean, there's a bazillion scriptures that guide. I think one of them is pain is the path, and that's a ruck thing, a rise up kings thing. That's where I actually met this guy. But James 1:2-4, consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds, because that is what develops perseverance and maturity and completeness. I paraphrase that one. But good things don't happen in the comfort zone. And we don't want to be comfortable here. We want to be safe in what we do, but we want to push. And push doesn't also mean, like, I want to make you puke every session. It takes a very unskilled trainer to make someone throw up. The goal is to push you harder than you want to, but to keep it fun. And then the next time that bar's raised. And the next time it's raised, but we get to this point with our athletes and our clients that they want a little bit uncomfortable because they know it's going to be safe. They know we're taking care of them. They know they're going to leave here a better person and come back better tomorrow than they were today.
Absolutely. And you have an amazing facility here, and I was just wondering if you could share with us some of the success stories you have from previous athletes that you've trained.
Yeah, success stories are interesting. It's amazing to see the demographics that we work with. First off, everybody's an athlete. So you think athletes, you think these high school varsity players. We love working with those JV kids who actually want it so bad. JV benchwarmer who wants to start JV by the end of the year, and they're here to work. That is an absolute success story. Our varsity athletes who are stellar, want to play D1, that is an absolute success story. I think we're going to do a tour later. We'll show you the wall of all of our athletes who have signed to play at the college level. And then our adults, so many success stories there of they are athletes, they just don't know it. We might start at a different point, but getting them to different levels of like capability is so amazing. So from our adult sector, I'll kind of walk back down in our success stories. We have an awesome adult class. We have one lady who's been here for 3 years now. When we met her, she was very overweight. She was a furniture walker. She literally had to walk holding furniture to get around her house. She is so functional now. She's getting up and off the floor. She's doing walking lunges. She is one of our strongest people here. Zero furniture walking. She comes to my kids' sports games. She's walking the bleachers. That's a huge success story. To go from very limited in life to being someone who has this I can attitude and doing it in a pain-free level. From our athletes, we have everything from D1 athletes to Olympians. I've trained some skiers who were in the Olympics. I have some hockey players who are on their way to the Olympics, USA hockey as high school kids. One of my girls made the USA 18 team, women's 18 team as a 15-year-old and a 16-year-old and a 17-year-old. So those are really fun. And then there's a lot yet to be written, which I think is so exciting. And it's those kids who came in here who wanted it really bad, and maybe their coaches were counting them out, and now they're starting to shine. And I love that. Yeah. It's like if you come here and you want to grow, we're going to help you grow. And again, we're a team, man, because any of these kids who come in here, their success is my success. I am not successful unless they are. So I'm going to pour everything that I have. That being said, it's kind of hard to pour more than they're giving me back. But really cool is that we have not really seen that. It's this culture that we have here that if you're here, you kind of want to be here. You kind of want to grow. It's this contagious aspect. And very, very few of my hours in a week are hours that I'm looking at the clock, at least in a negative way. Yeah. Many hours I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're almost done. Like, where'd the time go? So like all of that to me is success and success stories, is that we have kids who want to be here. I think we have adults who want to be here. And I think that another success is that this is a life skill. Yeah. We're teaching them that pain is the path. We're teaching them teamwork matters. We're teaching them that hard things are the only way to grow. We're teaching them like this lifelong passion for physical fitness and health. And I think those things are all successes too.
Absolutely. So I'm hearing that you work with both child athletes as well as adults, and adults that are maybe not as conditioned as well as they should be, even for functionality, in addition to working on some of those things that a doctor of physical therapy would specifically do. So is there any type of clientele that you wouldn't want to work with? Bad attitude. Okay. That's really it. Like if you have a great attitude, you're coachable, you're humble and hungry, I want you here, and we're going to grow. I think poor attitude or entitlement, those are the people that I don't really enjoy. I want people who are humble, willing to make mistakes here and grow and learn from it and laugh about it. Not laugh like this doesn't matter, but laugh like, yeah, I fell. Like I'm going to get back up and I'm going to do it again and I'm going to do it better.
But really, as far as like demographics go, I don't care who comes in here. I just want great attitude, great effort, great coachability, and let's go. Game on.
Absolutely. So finally, you take somebody like me, if I was to walk in here and, I have some mobility issues, some limiting factors and whatnot, I'm built a little bit more stocky than the average person, and I'm not trying to sound egotistical, but, I am a little bit bigger than most people because I've lifted heavy weights for most of my life. So what would be some things that you'd want to do in order to increase my mobility or increase my endurance? Because your specialty is more so the endurance end and functionality as opposed to, those Olympic level bodybuilders, correct?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm an Olympic level bodybuilder expert. For someone like you though, it's just the quality of motion. That really translates to everybody. Now it's sports specific. So your sport's going to be different than what most of our sports are, but it's sports specific. So first off, we're going to look at kind of your range of motion. We're going to do an assessment on range of motion, on strength limitations, on all of these things. A lot of times I'll kind of sneak that into like an initial assessment where we're doing a walking dynamic warm-up. That way you're not feeling on the spot. I can see how you actually move instead of how you move when you think you're under an assessment. And then we'll start nitpicking. We'll talk about the pain areas. We'll find out what feels good for you. Some of those areas that are a little bit sticky for you or don't feel quite as good, and start attacking those gradually. My goal is I want to make it apparent to you of what's going on, but I also don't want it to become a hyper-focused area for you too of like, oh man, I'm messed up. Because I think we had talked about this earlier, but people our age, we're over 40, if there was a test that asymptomatic people went in for MRIs, and 80% of them, asymptomatic, zero pain reported, went in for MRIs on lumbar disc structures, 80% of them had abnormalities there. So they start hearing that, and all of a sudden, I'm broken. It's like, dude, you're not broken. You didn't even hurt until you heard that you had something going on. So kind of, again, building into what you can do. And then I'm a stickler on form. So someone like you, or even in the bodybuilder world, you guys know how to feel your muscles so well. You know what you need to do as far as like your program design. It's more of the quality of those movements is something that we'd probably do a lot with you. And ironically, when we start doing more quality of movement stuff, for you, we talked about it yesterday, just like scap led, and what we redefined core as is this, like everyone thinks it's this six pack, but really core is anything attached to your axial skeleton. So if we consider that concept, then your shoulder blades really have to be considered as core and control every upper extremity motion. And if we start learning how to move through that, our joints are put into a better position. We're not compensating as much or asking certain areas to do more than their job actually is. So I think that's something that we'd be doing for sure. You're a science guy, so I'm going to try to speak your language. And just to make it connect. I want that understanding, I want that buy-in. But for you, I think it'd be a really working on that full range of motion, and what we'd see is that mobility is going to start to improve gradually instead of just sitting and, all right, my shoulder's tight, I'm just going to static stretch this thing. No, let's start working through it in a way that you are actually passionate about and start seeing that mobility improve.
Absolutely. And you did touch on something too, as far as with identity and like being able to identify, or when you know certain things about yourself. Specifically, you said with like the lower back, the lumbar, and like disc degeneration. So I came back as 70% disabled according to VA standards. And it's amazing how many veterans actually take that disability, like that label, and they make it a part of who they are. And the reality is I'm not disabled. I'm capable of doing everything that anybody that didn't serve is able to do. So there might be a little bit of pain involved with it. There might be some discomfort associated with that. Mm-hmm. But the fact that you get identified or labeled a certain type of way, so many people take that, make that part of their personality, part of their characteristics. So, and I'm hearing that the mindset that you work on and focus on through here, that actually is going to actually help to limit or minimize how much value that negative label has.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, who are you? And you are not a diagnosis. Mm-hmm. And that you can be if you start to believe that yourself. But we really want to avoid that. I want to show you what you can do. I think we talk about 4-letter words here. We don't like a lot of 4-letter words, but one of my least favorite 4-letter words is not even the F-bomb. I don't like it, but can't. I hate that word. I hate the word can't. And we correct all of our athletes. Even if you have 60 kids in here and they say can't, like, don't say that word. Like, can. We'll find a way. We'll modify things. Like, we'll find a way. And pretty soon, if you start to live in that mindset, that list of quote unquote can'ts gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So yeah, your identity, like what you believe about yourself, is so important, and we want to instill these beliefs. And whether our athletes know it or not, Jesus says that they are extremely valuable. Mm-hmm. God died for you, like for you. You're the only person. You are so valuable that God died for you. You were fearfully and wonderfully made from conception, and that is what I believe for sure. You are perfectly made, man, but you got to believe that, because the world's going to spew all this other stuff at you, and it's not true. What God says is true. It becomes true for you when you start to believe it about you, though. Yeah. And so that is something that we really try to pull these people out, and it's a work in progress with a lot of people, with the majority of people, I would say, but just finding that identity of I am capable, I am valuable, I am worthy, I am able, like all these things, like that changes everything with that mindset.
No doubt. And one of the mindsets that I had is, like, I've had a lot of people tell me things that I can't do in my past, and it started, and this might be viewed as a little bit arrogant even in some ways, but I started taking this approach of, okay, tell me what I can't do and then just watch me. You know, case in point, I'm not built like a marathon runner, but I've had people tell me that I can't run a marathon. So the next words out of my mouth were watch me. So, and not that it's supposed to be arrogant, but don't tell me what my limitations are. I'll find my own limitations on my own, or I won't, and I'll continue to push. But that's the type of attitude and mentality that we have to have moving forward in order to become the better versions of ourselves, at least physically and mentally, because that mental component too, I went from barely graduating high school to graduating, I got a master's degree with high honors. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to encourage anybody, or we don't want to limit anybody by our words, encourage them, and give them the best opportunity, the best chance they can to prove themselves and to achieve everything they're meant to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. And with someone like John, I love that attitude. I might try to humble him a little bit too, though, because pride is also a bad thing. But I might try to humble him, like, dude, you can do all these things, but I'm going to challenge you to do the things that you don't necessarily think you're good at yet. And we're going to watch you grow in those areas and continue to develop that in a humble way. No, I love what you're saying. I'm giving you crap right now. But yeah, we do want this I can watch me attitude while still being humble and hungry at the same time. And that's what we want to strive for, because it is so easy to say can't. It is so easy to make excuses today, when really there are always ways to get something done. So, and always different starting points. Yeah. So.
And I love being here. I love working with you. One of the things that just came to my mind is, as iron sharpens iron, so shall one man sharpen another, or one person, more specifically, if you want to, make it acceptable for everybody. And depending on what version of the Bible and translation you're using, as iron sharpens iron, so shall one person sharpen another. So what Matt's saying is that basically he's here to help sharpen iron, and to help everybody bring their best self forward. So I love that.
What's cool in that is I get sharpened too.
No doubt.
And developing great relationships, man. I put myself out there too. I'm asking my athletes and my clients to do hard things, and I got to put myself out there too. And I continually find that I'm sharpened in those relationships as well.
Excellent. Would you mind taking us on a tour of your facility?
Yeah, absolutely,
awesome.
Man.
Let's take a look.
Got my little office here, my PT room. It's a little bit messy now. I made John a shirt and I had to let the heat press cool. We have opportunity to sell Lululemon out of here, branded logoed Lululemon. We have Element, electrolytes, Thorn Nutrition, really cool compression gear. That is a high level medical grade compression. Really nice stuff. We're coming in about 4,800 square feet of turf. We got all sorts of lockers and cubbies for all of our athletes. We have 60 kids at a time in here sometimes, but 4,800 square feet of turf. A lot of our dynamic warm-up is out here. We do a lot of mobility, in a dynamic way, and then a lot of our speed work. And I think that is something that really does separate us, is speed work and speed training, teaching people how to move versus just making people move. I think so many times we just do drills and we're like, I'm going to do agility. Let's pull out a speed ladder. But we really teach people how to move and the aspects of speed that might not be talked about all the time.
Right on.
And over here, bathroom, we have a shower, towel service. Our adults use that much more than our kiddos. Trainer's office in the back as well. We have a massage therapist, sports massage. But yeah, really a lot of the magic. This is my favorite area out here. All sorts of anchors on the wall that we can hook up bungee cords for resisted acceleration, resisted jumping, TRX mounts, speed sleds, all sorts of fun.
I noticed the American flag on the wall. Do you have a sense towards veterans or anything?
Huge sense.
First responders?
For all of our veterans, as on Veterans Day tomorrow, thank you so much for your service. So grateful. So grateful. Freedom isn't free. Thank you guys. All right, so weight room. This is John's favorite place of this facility.
It is.
But all sorts of cool equipment. What you'll notice, we don't have a lot of cardio equipment. Our cardio mostly is out there. We do have some stuff. We have a treadmill here, a freeform treadmill or true form treadmill, a vibration plate. But really a lot of our cardio goes down to running and speed work.
Definitely explain to me the piece of equipment you're standing in front of there.
You tell me what you want it to be, and I'll show you what we can do with it.
Okay. So from my perspective, I know you can work some shrugs there and work some traps.
Absolutely. So it's called the Trap Shrug Lunge Deadlift from Legend Fitness, but it's so much more than that. You can go and do rear elevated split squats. I did a whole circuit in COVID on this because they said COVID could live on surface for 10 days. Mm-hmm. Whole circuit on here. Jumps, really cool jump concepts. We can go into a push press, bent over rows. So you tell me what you want it to be. It could be deadlifts, it could be RDLs. It's such a cool piece of equipment.
Even with the push press that you're doing right there, I could see application towards fighting concepts and everything else.
Oh, for sure.
Type
so
MMA,
you could even go like
movements.
a rotational with it.
Absolutely.
Be somewhat constrained. We have some other tools for that fun stuff too.
Awesome.
But, yeah, very, very multi-dimensional piece of equipment.
Yeah. So I know like with NASM, they go with an OPT model as far as like their progression of exercise. What do you do here as far as like your progression?
It depends.
Depends on the client once again?
It depends. Periodization is kind of a hard thing that we've found to do with a lot of our athletes. Periodization is usually this linear protocol. It is determined on having an off season, but most of our athletes are multi-sport athletes, or they have their season in school, but then it goes directly into club. And really they might have a week or two off of their sport. So we found multimodality programming to be really effective, and just trying to get the most out of our athletes as we see them. So if I could program a heavy squat day on a Monday, but that kid comes to me on Monday and they show up and they say they got back on Sunday night. I got back at midnight last night. I had 6 games over the weekend. It was 97 degrees as a low in Baltimore. We're probably not doing that heavy squat I programmed. We're gonna meet them where they're at. Their goal is to feel better when they leave here. Sometimes that means, man, I just got my butt kicked. Sometimes it is like, I feel so much more put together. Yeah. So I care much less about them maxing out here. I care about what we do here helps them to max out in their sport.
Absolutely.
Or in their life.
Yeah.
Depending on what sport is for that person.
What else you got? So you got the dumbbells go up to?
Dumbbells up to 120.
Okay.
All the way down to ones. Some people are like, man, why do you have ones? Because 1 is infinitely harder than 0 on some things. So
absolutely.
A lot of scap work. Body weight starts to get a little easier, and body weight can be really hard on some of that stuff, and ones are substantially harder than that. So yeah, ones up to 120s.
Okay, right on.
Quite the gambit.
Yeah. So now I'm seeing the shuttle MVP in the corner here. You're saying there's a lot of applications for some other people, right?
Tons of applications. It's a little bit tough to get in, but it's really awesome for people to have an opportunity for leg exercises if they have low back pain. Again, getting in is a little bit tricky sometimes. We can help them out by pushing it out without resistance to make it a little bit easier where they can just kind of take a seat. But once they're in, really, really cool way to start doing some legs. You can do jumps on here too, which sounds kind of scary with like a slingshot component of band resistance, but it's super smooth. And we can actually set the depth. So if you have somebody with knee protocols, we can set the depth so they can only go to a certain depth to try to adhere to those protocols.
I'm noticing some kind of strange looking handles for your lat pull downs over here.
We do have some strange handles. They're pretty cool. These are the Prime Fitness handles. What's really cool about these is they can promote neutrality in your wrists. There's a really cool tricep one that mimics like a rope, but a rope, a lot of times we get really weird with our wrist on the finish, and you can maintain a neutral wrist there. We work with tons of lacrosse and hockey players, and wrist is a massive culprit. So having some of this stuff is fantastic, where we can really find a wrist angle that works well for them, that doesn't flare them up. And then even down to some of these handles, these are pretty nifty because right now I have a supinated grip, but I could go neutral with it just by twisting these guys, or even go into a pronated grip.
Absolutely.
So really, really functional.
So now, are you a one-man show, or do you have other trainers that work for you?
We have other trainers, for sure. Right now we have 4 other trainers, always looking for more. Great people who want to be mentors and role models and who know their stuff and be part of a team. But yeah, we have 4 right now and would love to have 8 at some point at least, and then we have other plans too.
So it sounds like with approaching the client when they come in, or the athlete when they come in, and really just getting that total approach, it sounds like you've got to be ready to kind of pivot on a moment's notice, because if you might have the best plan laid out for them, but if they're not ready to do that 1 rep max squat or whatever the case may be that day, you know, that trainer's got to be ready to have an alternative plan, or kind of be able to think on their feet a little bit. Yeah,
the best plan isn't necessarily what's written on paper or written in my head. A lot of times I'll ask an athlete, hey, how are you feeling? Get their subjective. What do you want to work on today? If it's a high school boy, they're going to say bench every single day. I'll probably veto that, but we do want to give them some say in the process. So I want them to feel like they're a part of the process. That doesn't mean I'll hit everything. I will sneak in what I want to hit for sure. But as far as like, how are you feeling? If they come in really beat up, I might need to scrap my plan and just see how we're moving. And my goal again is, what do we have next? Like what's our next practice? What's our next game or tournament? How can I get this person ready for that, the demands of that? And so there's a lot of pivoting.
And then what else do we have over here? We got
just a little bit more of our limited cardio stuff. So we'll use this for PT. We'll use it as dynamic warm-up stuff, or warm up, just get blood flow before we get into really truly our dynamic warm-up stuff. We'll use them as sections in our adult fitness, but really it's just kind of our warm-up, get blood moving, or kind of PT type equipment. And then our racks are pretty cool. Very functional. We can fit 16 working stations on one rack, or on this whole system. So that's pretty awesome. Cables in between every rack system here. All sorts of bars, from safety bars to regular Olympic bars. We have some Bella bars that are 25 pounds to help with some of our exercisers, some of our smaller athletes. And then up here, these are pretty cool. These guys swivel down, jammer arms. Okay. So we can do everything from like your traditional like jammer. You can go, and we were talking about some fighting stuff, but this one you can really go core rotational with. You can get really creative where that jammer's hanging down and put a band around it. You can do like a pal-off press. So pal-off press would be, oh, that's heavy. Pal-off press would be kind of living here, boom, and coming in. But we could have them do an iso hold where that band's attached to that jammer, and I can be playing with it, and it can be like a dynamic iso hold. So a really cool way to hit some anti-core rotational stability, which translates directly into core rotational power. So
and then we got some Stability balls.
Yeah, all sorts of functional equipment over here. Kettlebells, endo boards. These are really fun, not just for standing on, but really cool core components. Putting your hands on it and trying to do knee to elbow or single leg push-ups. The core is crazy. I'm going to make you try those later. We should probably video you for our video trying that.
Sounds good.
And then I had talked about it earlier, but here's kind of our wall of fame, our athletes who are playing at another level, whether it's collegiate or pro, have all signed the door. So
I see one set of skis, but no other piece of sporting equipment. Why is there?
We got a hockey stick over here. It just didn't center well on the door. But that is Josie St. Martin. She that was from her Team USA, and she was the one I alluded to who played it as a 15, 16, and 17-year-old on the U18 team. So
awesome. And what about the skis? Could you tell us a story behind the skis?
Skis, that's actually from a client that I had when I was in Colorado still. I met him as a 11-year-old. Had to get some permissions to allow the gym to allow him in. I was working at a box gym at that time, corporate box gym, and we got him in, and he went on to the X Games and went on to Sochi for super pipe and slope style.
Oh, right on.
A little bit more functional in here. I kind of knocked the ladders earlier, but there's a time and a place. We have ladders, hurdles, tons of bands, tons of cones, that type of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is your facility. Any last words you want to say before we get a workout on?
It's so much cooler when you're here. Come on and see it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go.